First up, we have Kansas City.
It has a chance to put Kansas City on a map worldwide.
How do we win over the world? And I think we'll do it.
Kansas City deserves to be one of those hosting cities.
You know, we have a lot of things that people from around the world will have never experienced.
We want to make sure that the benefits go across the region as well.
We can't wait to welcome fans from across the globe to the heart of America and to the world's loudest stadium.
FIFA World Cup 26 kicks off next June, and Pam Kramer, the CEO in charge of the Kansas City region's preparations, has big ambitions for the tournament's smallest host city.
I hope at the end of this, the headline is how did the smallest host city become the heart of the World Cup, right? How do we win over the world? And I think we'll do it.
With its passionate sports culture, Kramer is convinced Kansas City will shine on the world stage.
It is part of our fabric and our DNA that we want to prove to the world that what we all know, that we can do this.
It's a chance for KC to show off the things that make our city and region special.
We want people to stay here. We want people to experience the authentic, welcoming nature of our people and our culture.
But organizers also hope Kansas City residents relish the World Cup experience.
There's been a lot of focus on the visitor experience and who's coming, but I want them to know this is going to be great for people who live here. I mean, the chance to not only show off who we are, but to engage with other cultures and to experience the World Cup, which is the joy that fans bring and the excitement around this global event is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
FIFA considers Kansas City's Fan Fest a model for other cities, and the region was the first to secure extra buses for next summer's global soccer spectacle.
We still have a lot of work to do, but we feel good about where we are, particularly relative to some of our fellow host cities. We feel like we're ahead of the game.
We will learn which teams are Kansas City bound in early December. At the Truman Sports Complex, Todd Palmer, KSHB 41 News.
How busy will Worlds be?
Until the tournament kicks off, we just have estimates, which KC 2026 says is around 650,000 visitors. Public transportation will be key during the World Cup in reducing the number of cars on the roads.
I think it's a real opportunity for us to show how public transportation can work.
Streetcar plans on extending its services, fleet, and staff to meet World Cup demands. Their Union Station stop just a quick walk from where Fan Fest will be.
I wonder how many people they're going to let in the buses and how they're going to manage traffic.
KC 2026 leased 200 buses earlier this year to meet tournament needs, like moving fans from GHA Field, Fan Fest, Park and Rides, the airport, and more. Details including possible locations of Park and Rides have not been disclosed. As to what it will cost fans to ride those buses during the tournament, that also remains unclear.
We were really trying to gather information on how people would utilize public transportation, and then that'll really help inform whether a transportation pass or some sort of ticket would be utilized.
Existing bus services across Kansas City are also gearing up for an influx of riders and to keep current connections running smoothly. But some transit agencies like KCATA are in need of operational funds from the federal government so they can expand services, add drivers and buses to their fleet.
As the things I mentioned, they all take time. You start backing things up. So we really need to have some final answers before the end of this year.
We really need our federal delegation to think about ways that they can help us fund operations, because that's where the greatest cost will be.
Johnson County Transit leased 50 buses and bought 10 of these buses for World Cup services. A new route will run from the airport to Johnson County thanks to $2 million in funding through March. Johnson County also wants to add additional routes to get people in and around the county during the tournament, but they also need money.
We are working and looking for opportunities to both partner with our participating potential potentially participating cities, but we're also talking to the federal government. We really need federal support as a region.
I feel like there's a lot of construction going on, so that's concerning with like all the cars on the road. I feel like it's already pretty backed up with that.
All that construction you're seeing, MoDOT says, is to minimize impacts during the World Cup. Right now, they're working on I-70 for the next couple of years, but when the World Cup comes to town, at least 3 lanes of I-70 in both directions will be open.
We certainly have a lot of work, and we're actually delivering our biggest construction program in our history. We've worked hard to minimize impacts during the World Cup.
KDOT says Kansas corridors like I-435, I-35, and I-70 will see increased traffic with work continuing on the 18th Street Expressway Bridge, which will remain closed during the tournament. Daniela Leon, KSHB 41 News.
Short-term rental owners are optimistic. They believe the World Cup is going to be a great opportunity for them. While some are already leasing their houses 1 year in advance, others are choosing to wait.
This one is nice because you have a walk-in closet.
Laura Williams properties are ready, just waiting for the World Cup next year.
Everything is kept to 5-star, thing all the time.
But if you try to book them, you won't be able to.
If it's Brazil, it's going to be more than if it's like, some little tiny country.
Her prices will depend on who is playing in Kansas City.
From what we're hearing is a big difference.
But some other hosts are taking the risk. Their calendars are opened and their prices are up, way up. Here's a comparison. 2 nights between June 15th and 17th in 2025 and the same dates in 2026. In Midtown, a 3-bedroom home is listed for $525 for 2 nights in 2025. Next year, it jumps to $1,761. That's more than 3 times the price. And on a downtown listing, an even bigger spike. A 5-bedroom loft is $1,537 for 2 nights this year. But in 2026, the same stay will cost $9,414.
Is that like a crazy number, or to you it just sounds like it makes sense?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question, I think. Maybe they might get lucky and get somebody to pay that price, or maybe they have to lower it to get it rented.
Airbnb claims that when demand for listings increase, supply does too.
If I lived in the house, I'd probably just live out here on the deck.
Laura is waiting to make some decisions, but has already made some choices.
My own place I'm living in, I'm just like, it's getting rented. I'm like.
She says she's going to make the most of the opportunity.
We really want Lake Brazil. We want the fans. We want, everybody to have a good economic opportunity.
In Kansas City, Fernanda Silva, KSHB 41 News.
Compass Minerals National Performance Center is one of the elite training facilities for soccer in the entire world, and it could play a significant role in the World Cup next year. We got a behind-the-scenes tour, and you get to come along.
Rock Chalk Park is being considered as a training site for a World Cup team. What did FIFA officials have to say when it toured the facility?
I'll take you on a tour inside the Casey Current Training Center as they're getting ready for the World Cup.
By now, you probably know that Kansas City will host 6 games in the 2026 FIFA World Cup, but the region may also host 3 base camps, including one at Compass Minerals National Performance Center in Kansas City, Kansas. We got to take a behind-the-scenes tour, and you get to come along. Welcome to one of the world's elite soccer training facilities. A world-class practice space almost certain to attract a first-rate soccer power to Kansas City next summer.
2018, when we opened this place, David Beckham and his contingent from Miami, when they're putting their program together, said that this is one of the top soccer facilities in the world.
It boasts 5 fields.
We've got the Super Pitch, which has 3 natural grass playing surface fields. We've also got 2 turf fields primarily used by U.S. Soccer for their coaching courses.
And cutting-edge medical facilities. Hot and cold tubs, hydrotherapy pools, saunas, a DEXA machine for measuring body composition, atmospheric chamber, exercise with oxygen therapy machines, cryotherapy.
This gets down to about minus 100 degrees Celsius, which is very cold. They're in there about 2 or 3 minutes.
Hyperbaric chambers, a Zen room.
So the 6 things going on is nutrition, hydration, relaxation, circulation, thermal regulation, and meditation.
It's easy to see why Beckham and some lucky World Cup team next summer are so impressed. Now let's head to Lawrence, where Lily O'Shea Becker toured Rock Chalk Park, home of the Kansas Jayhawks.
Think about like security and all the things that come with a country coming, where you can, as much as you can host in one facility and they don't have to move a lot.
Home to KU women's soccer, Rock Chalk Park could be a training site for a 2026 World Cup team. It offers amenities teams need when on the road, like a laundry room, a medical room, a weight training room, and what Jason Booker with KU Athletics says is a locker room made for match days.
What was their kind of reaction when they walked into here?
I think they were a little bit surprised because they've seen some photos and things like that, but until you actually walk the facility, they were like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Booker said 2 countries have toured the facility, and KU anticipates several more tours throughout the year.
Getting the read on their faces that it felt like it was very special made us feel like we were onto something.
Booker said it wasn't just the countries who were impressed by the tour, but FIFA officials on their tour as well.
They came out and did a soil sample and said that it would hold up to any English Premier League soccer pitch. They were almost surprised, I think, when they came out and walked on the field. And they kind of looked at each other and were like, is this really, this is, a college soccer field?
Booker says 2,000 fans could fill these seats on open practice days, and an additional 4,000 could sit on the surrounding grass.
Lawrence is a little bit quieter in the summers. It's not going to be very quiet next summer.
And now to Riverside, Missouri, where Fernanda Silva toured the University of Kansas Health System training facility.
Uma das melhores estruturas que eu já treinei.
Casey Curran goalkeeper Lorena says the upcoming tenant will be lucky.
Sou meio suspeita a falar, mas eu escolheria 100% treinar aqui em Kansas.
You're here for a business trip, then this is a great place for you.
Casey Curran star Debinha and head coach Vladko agree.
Anyone that comes and uses this facility is gonna benefit from the resources, the infrastructure, everything that we have here.
They're lucky to have Kansas City. Like we have like a great environment, like the facility, the stadium, everything.
The facility also comes with the team's equipment.
They get to use branded weight plates of ours, which will just again remind them of whose house it is.
A house that will be for rent. And while we still don't know who the tenants will be, the hopes are high.
I can share that the countries that have come to visit are some of your prestigious, big name, like historic World Cup winning type countries.
Eu, como uma boa brasileira, né, tenho a expectativa de que o Brasil venha, né.
In Riverside, Fernanda Silva, KSHB 41 News.
KC 2026 is trying to get small businesses ready to meet the moment. We'll tell you how coming up next. Tracy's been meeting with business groups to help ensure the Kansas City region is ready to meet the moment.
It took a regional effort to attract the World Cup to Kansas City, so a bi-state effort. Kansas, Missouri, and all of the counties and municipalities that make up the region had to pull together to attract it. And so we want to make sure that the benefits go across the region as well.
World Cup crowds are expected to arrive earlier, stay longer, and spend more time in the community than visitors who came for the NFL draft 2 years ago.
Once we understand what's actually coming and we prepare the business, it'll help them flourish.
We had to show that we have 55,000 hotel rooms within a 2.5-hour radius of Kansas City. So that should give you an idea of the kind of distribution of visitors and how they'll be out and about.
In Olathe, Todd Palmer, KSHB 41 News.
Kansas City is getting ready to experience the World Cup next year. I'm KSHB Northland reporter Fernanda Silva, and I spoke to some KC Curran players who know everything about representing their countries on the international stage.
Debinha and Lorena from Brazil, Rocky Rodriguez from Costa Rica.
Wow, it's the best feeling, huh?
Mais do que uma honra, privilégio.
It's, for me, it's unlike any other feeling, truly.
They call it a dream.
Playing a World Cup, I think, is the top that a player can get.
They say it will be a two-way street. KC experiencing the competition.
Para mim é uma emoção inigualável, inexplicável.
It is like a huge party here, and I think that Kansas City deserves to be one of those hosting cities for that reason.
And the competition experiencing Kansas City.
As pessoas não têm noção de como as pessoas vivem o futebol aqui em Kansas. Eu, quando cheguei, eu pensei que ia ser só uma torcida, mas não. É uma torcida que respira o futebol.
For them, it will also be the chance to wear their national team's jerseys. This time not as players, but as fans.
Usually you have to make plans to go to a World Cup, but the World Cup itself is coming here. I do feel, like, what's the word, blessed, lucky, you know, because everybody would want to be here.
In Riverside, Fernanda Silva, KSHB 41 News.
He built a legacy that was done on incredible journalism, and he built the following that is today what we see as soccer in the United States.
He will lay this off. Here's Yelich with a chance. His shot, goal! Damn, Yelich!
Deflected in front, and Kansas City has scored on that gift.
When it came to soccer, sports fans turned to Grant Wall,
soccer writer and analyst, joining us now.
a KC native whose captivating storytelling led him to become one of the most highly respected voices and names in the sport.
Grant traveled the route list, followed. He built a legacy that was done on incredible journalism, and he built the following that is today what we see as soccer in the United States.
A celebrated Sports Illustrated writer and popular commentator who just knew soccer was destined to change the landscape of sports in America.
He had to really work hard to convince the powers that be at Sports Illustrated that soccer was something worth writing about, which now I find funny, but at the time, it just wasn't a big topic of sports conversation in the country.
His legacy forever etched in the first stadium built for a women's professional team.
He'll never be forgotten.
KC current owners Chris and Angie Long went to Princeton with Grant and say if it wasn't for Grant's connections, expertise, and advice,
Turned over in a bad spot, Thea.
KC current wouldn't be where it is today.
And she scores!
And the reason why we have his name in the stadium forever is he had a mark that is really special to this Kansas City community.
We are so lucky to have this here, and knowing that my brother was a small part of it is the best feeling in the world.
As soccer grew, Grant's family says he always knew Kansas City had the potential to host the most watched sporting event in the world.
Based on all of my calls, Kansas City is on the bubble when it comes to getting games for the World Cup. And if I had to list my 10 right now, I would include Kansas City.
Grant would be staying up all night writing about things and telling stories about growing up here and the people he knew and the coaches who were important to him, the players that he's met, and the entire world focusing on our home is so important.
Grant passed away while covering the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, but before his sudden death, he wanted to ensure soccer was a sport for all, proudly wearing this pride shirt in honor of his brother, which led him to being detained by Qatar World Cup security. That moment, now a permanent part of Eric.
It's a reminder of that moment that Grant stood up for me and for other people, especially LGBTQ people in countries where it's very hard for them to be open and honest.
Bounces up a challenge, no foul called. Thea with a shot, and Thea scores.
Grant's advocacy and work continues to be an influence in American soccer and an inspiration to future sports journalists.
One of the best things about Grant Wall is he told soccer stories, told stories about the beautiful game with a conscience. He's incredibly inclusive. He never had a bias. He covered it from every angle.
An example of what happens when you take the road less traveled and let passion and intuition take the driver's seat.
Thinking about kids who will grow up with this being normal and being able to travel the world and say, I'm from Kansas City and we've hosted the World Cup. Proud doesn't even begin to cover it. It makes me proud of my country, my city, and my family.
The go forwardness, Grant Wall's got plenty of it. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.